Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Islamic Finance program, where we are going to discuss Islamically issues related to money and wealth. Now, before I start this topic, we are going to introduce you to some of the students from Cairo who are with me in this program, and we are going to make this a little bit more interactive so that you can all get involved. Now, these students, they study typical Islamic topics at university, from science, language, and normal Islamic subjects. Some of them have some exposure to Islamic finance, others never heard much about Islamic finance. So we are going to take you from the basic concept to more advanced topic, and you will be able to recognize how those principles that Islam puts regarding money, how they work today. Where do we see them? Whether we are talking about global financial crisis, complex products like derivatives, or simple contracts of exchange. We are going to cover this, and you will see that as we are entering new era where youth especially are getting more in life and they are getting more entrepreneurial, you will realize that this topic is a critical part. And that's why if you study Islam as a whole, you will realize that fiqh of muamalah deals mainly with the business transactions. So before I start, actually, I was thinking to share a story just to highlight where Islamic finance fits. It is a story about a father and a son who one day went for a picnic, and before they were ready with the tent and everything, you know, like normal, it started to rain heavily. Everything was completely wet. In that same moment, some of the friends that they were expecting arrived. And it is a custom in our tradition, we welcome our guests, we give them some tea and things like that. However, because everything was completely wet, they couldn't make a tea. There was nothing that was dry. So this father said to his son, he said, "Oh, my son, we want to welcome our guests, make some sort of tea for them. Go and prepare the tea. Find something dry, make a fire, and get some tea going." So this boy who wanted to please his father went searching. He couldn't find anything that was dry. Then after about 10 minutes thinking and searching, he remembered his father is having one small container, like a metal box, where he keeps the money. Now what he knows about money is that it is made from paper, and paper is very good fuel for a fire. So because there was nothing else, it was everything was completely wet, he took all of this money, put it in a big pile, set it alight, and alhamdulillah, in 5 minutes he prepared the tea, nice tea and everything. So he came smiling to his father and said, "My father, you know, I did it, you know, I made it." so his father said, "MashaAllah, look my smart, clever boy." Okay, there is nothing dry, and still he was able to prepare some tea for us. So very extremely clever. So now the question comes for us: what will this father think when he realized what happened in the kitchen? What do you think?
He'll get mad. Angry.
Give him a beating.
Now at the core of it, okay, so he's going to get mad and all of that. At the core of it, what is the problem here in this story?
He didn't teach him financially.
He didn't teach him finance. What was the lesson he should get? What was the lesson he was supposed to get?
He must know money. He must clearly know what is money is. It's just a paper, just not.
So know money, what is the function, what is the purpose of money, all of these things. Now what was fundamental mistake that this boy did with the money?
Money is just a paper.
Money is just a paper, sure. So is it okay, like any other paper, that it burns and we create a fire out of it? Or is there some other function money is supposed to fulfill?
There's a value behind it.
Value, there is a value behind it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as a matter of fact, he wasted lots of dollars. What is beyond? Okay, it's a value. It's all of this. Where is the fundamental mistake here?
The father should have put it in the bank.
did he use money for its intended purpose?
No.
No.
Is money supposed to be, forget the value of the money, and
Yeah.
you know, sometimes you have this money, they're printing it, you don't know what sort of value it has anymore. It's not worth the paper. But he didn't use money for its intended purpose. This is not how you use money. So what is the purpose of money, for example? Like in this case, what should have he done with the money?
He should have maybe see if he could have bought something to.
Bought something.
Yes.
So if he bought like some sort of charcoal or wood or something like that and set that on fire and made tea, so that would be fine.
That would have
Exactly.
So let's make one thing clear. Number one, no one is blaming the tea. Yeah? Okay, what is the tea here in this story symbolizing? It's a profit.
It's a profit.
It's a profit.
Yes.
It's a gain, some sort of increase. So there is no one in Islam or anywhere else who blames the profit or who don't want to see that profit. So we are all, we want that, that's fine, that, you know, we are not against the profit.
Yes.
What we are against is how do you make that profit? What sort of steps you do and how do you use money in that situation? Because we don't want money to be used in a way that go against the nature of money as a medium of exchange, something you buy and sell with, fulfills this function. In fact, in Islam, for money to be useful, we have to convert it, as you will see in this program, we will discuss this in detail. Money must be converted to something that is useful in itself. And then, that's something which we, let's say, call asset. That asset then can be sold or leased, or you can make use of it. To make what? To make a tea, to make a profit. Okay, and this is where you will find fundamental difference between Islamic finance and any other kind of finance. It comes fundamentally on the way you use money. Are you using money for a medium, as a medium of exchange, or are you burning money? How we burn money?
By misusing it.
We burn money by selling and leasing it. So if you go to the conventional bank, what they do with the money? They treat it as a commodity, which is bought and sold. And then it gives birth in between, which is the profit. So this is what we call interest or riba. Money giving birth by going and making profit by itself. Okay? So this little story, in fact, if you understand the core gist of it, there is a verse in Quran that tells us about the people who used to argue. But this trade, you call it, and this interest, aren't they like something that is similar? So why it is one prohibited, one is allowed? Well, this is where it is. Money being used as a commodity and money being used for some other purpose. So as we go throughout this course, you will understand that what Islam wants is to put everything at its right place. So assets are doing what they're supposed to do. In this story, it's a wood, for example. It's doing its job. It's making a fire, and you know, it's doing its own job. The money is doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is you buy and sell, you get stuff, exchange things. You understand how much I'm paying for what. So you don't destroy value. Okay? And then a result or a profit from this is something that is halal. You see? Something that is legitimate. I can consume that. Now, Islam talks so much about issue of money, and one of the major sins in Islam is coming from mismanaging your money. In fact, there is no other sin where Allah says that this is waging war against him and his Prophet ﷺ. Only in the money. And only in the money did Muslims wage war, like Abu Bakr, radiallahu anhu, wage war against people who refuse to pay zakat.
Yes.
So issue of money comes, in fact, when you study deeply, one of the question of the Day of Judgment, out of the 4 questions that you will be asked, as Prophet ﷺ said, the feet of the servants will not move until he answered these questions. One of them is about money. And while every other question is single question, money is 2 questions. One is, how did you make it? And then how did you spend it? And not just that, scholars who analyze Sharia, as you will see a little bit later, we will discuss, found that there are 5 key areas that Sharia is trying to preserve, to protect, which we call maqasid of Sharia. But
Yes.
one of these is money. So when we talk about individual, how they protect their wealth, on the level of a state, it's economic system. And we see now, economic system is being undermined. Look at, we are now in Egypt, for example. Look at what's happening with the Egyptian currency. In last 2 weeks, central bank spent hundreds of billions to stabilize it against the speculative attacks that is trying to destroy its value. And why? Because they don't want to take loans from IMF. And now revolution is, and people are so much looking at what's happening, and their economic situation is uncertain. They want more certainty. And this brings us to the statement of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, who in his famous statement, which he said that as a society, when you look at society where everyone is interdependent, Islam in reality wants to establish social order. And he said that you cannot establish Islam until you establish social order and you manage society. And when you think about that statement, he says this is one of the primary duties in Islam, to establish this social order. When you look at the issue of finance and how it affects this social order, you find that much of the chaos in society come from this economic uncertainty and the chaos. So when you connect it, stability of the society, social order, and sin of riba and other things equal to the war, then you understand where this war leads. It's not just on the day of judgment that you will be given sword and wage this war against the one who you cannot even think to wage war, but today this war is manifested on our hearts and minds. Look, most of the countries, divorce rate, for example. I don't know you are married or not. I think most of you singles.
Yes.
Okay. For those viewers who are married, we say, ask yourself, what is the major concern in the marriage these days?
Finance.
What husband and wife argue all day?
Finance.
She wants him to work, he's lazy, he doesn't want to do anything, he just want to watch TV and internet and talk something. Is this what Islam wants from us? So this is what we are going, inshallah, to discuss in this program. So let's start first couple of points. We're going to introduce Islamic finance, some key points, and then we will look at couple of key contracts in Islam that we have. Now, we all know that Islam, and we always, for people who are dawah, you meet some people, and first thing what you say to them is, Islam is?
Peace.
Okay, peace, this, everybody, different.
It's a way of life.
It's a way of life,
It's a way of
Now, when I have students, usually I like a little bit to dig deeper, because we get into mechanical answers very easily. And not just in answers, in everything pretty much we do. After a while, this statement means zero to us. So when we say Islam is a way of life, what does it mean?
It means that in your dealings, in your way of your interactions, the way you act, the way you deal, the way you do things, it's not just a religion on itself, it's a way that your day-to-day dealings with people and your interactions and everything that you do.
So it is the way we deal with things in that life. Okay? So it's not just something we say, but it's the way, an attitude we adopt in that life. Now, do you think that life affects us? Something around us. We are Muslim, we have certain understanding of things.
Yeah.
Do you think that what is outside affects you and me?
Yes. Environment always affects a person.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let me show you one example to what extent this affects all of us. Okay? I'm going to say something, and you give me whatever comes first in your mind.
Okay.
All right? Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You complete this statement. I don't think it will spoil the whole idea if you start thinking. Okay? Time is
Money.
money. Okay? Why did we all say this thing?
Because
Time
it's
is
just
money.
too precious to us.
Because I think so the brain has been
Indoctrinated.
Is your brain,
indoctrinated to
is
such
your
a
brain
way.
already programmed?
No.
Let's take a short break and then we'll come back to see why did you all answer that question and if in fact this is Islamic understanding of time and the money. Thank you.
There is a very interesting hadith that talks about the verses of Aisha radiallahu anha. She says, I know myself I'm a sinner, but I'm afraid or I fear for my daughters. Please talk to them. Sister Khadija from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
I wonder who loved the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam most. You have to repeat them all because we discussed the difference of opinions. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, وَأَزْوَاجُهُ أُمَّهَاتُهُمْ. Their mothers, the mothers of the believers. Two main components, religious commitment and al-amana, in brief, represents the whole moral system. Akhlaq, manners.
So just before the break, we were discussing about some of the Islamic concept about money, and I asked the question that you should complete, and that was, I said, time is, and all of you said,
Money.
All right. Now, before we analyze that particular statement, let me ask you and put another statement, and you again, like first time, try to complete it. If I say money is the root of all,
Evil.
you are thinking, what is it?
Evil.
Evil? So again, ijma on evil.
Yes.
Okay. So where do you get this idea from? How come you come to this, that time is money and money is the root of all evil? Where did you get this from?
I guess it's
Life.
the environment.
Environment life.
So there is somewhere in the environment where this statement lives.
Where it lives.
Where is
I
that?
mean, these statements have been repeated so often that it's
So
just
But everybody
it's just natural.
It-
Yeah.
everybody knows that. How did they get to know this? How did they form the consensus?
Basically, it was in you could say from those that were over experience.
Experience?
over
What sort of
experience.
experience would you need to say that money is the root of all evil?
For example, you would find that families later on realized how much of fighting went into the families and how.
I think this was very precise statement. People always say evil. It's not. They don't say, "Oh, it's something bad," but they have always that specific sentence. Do you know actually that this comes from a Bible? This statement.
No.
No.
idea.
Okay. In fact, even in the Bible doesn't say that. It says that love of the money is the root of all evil, which is different concept altogether. But let's deal with the first statement. Time is money. What does that mean actually? When time is money,
Precious.
appreciates with the money, with the
Personally,
time.
for example, if you got to watch the time, you got to watch your time.
Mhm.
Because every minute you're wasting, basically a person will say every minute is $1.
That is true.
You know,
That if you waste your time, you are wasting something which is very, very valuable.
valuable.
How does that relate to money then?
Managing time is like managing money. How to buy something is managing. So
In fact, when you think about this principle, that time is money, this is the core principle of interest. Okay? How they charge you interest? They give you some money plus some time.
Yes.
In return for what?
More money.
More money. What is the compensation? What is this interest? For what? For the extra time. Okay? And because this is so widespread, we don't even think about it when we say such a statement. Yes, time is important,
yes.
But how did we link money? We linked it because this is something around us, affects us. In fact, when you analyze some of these historical contexts, and some of you like history, you find that those people who came to the Muslim lands brought with them a specific way which was strange of dealing with money and interest. And what we have seen is that Muslims, for this was very strange. This interest, riba, all of these things. So you could see slowly as they took upper hand in society, and this new modern system took over, committed Muslims withdrew from the society and business. And their influence on the society diminished. And this other way of dealing with things increased until they completely took over. Okay? So what we are now seeing is that when you are trying to reverse this whole process, it takes some time, because this system already affected us so much that we think like this interest-based system. So as we said before, in Islam, for money to be useful, it must be converted then to something that is useful in itself. And this understanding is completely wrong understanding of time and of money. In fact, if you put these statements two together, that time is money, and money is the root of all evil, you will get what? That time is evil as well. So it is sort of logical deduction, isn't it? So then we ask ourselves, what is really Islamic answer to this puzzle? What is money in Islam? Money is what? If I say this question.
Life.
Okay, if I say that question, money is, and you write me on your okay, tell me what is the money if I write this. Money is what? Islamically.
Islamically.
Actually, something.
Or from your own thinking about money then.
Something tangible like gold.
Yeah? So something like gold, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, what other things you get when I say money is?
I would say money is to use according to your necessity.
Necessity, okay? Okay, what else? Money is?
Life.
Life.
You will get death if you have no money.
Life, death.
Like that.
Okay, what else is money?
Money is for me is an item used for transaction, maybe.
Item,
For transactions.
Yes.
okay, for
It's a
transactions.
Medium of exchange, you know.
Okay, medium of exchange.
Yeah.
What other emotion you get when you mention money?
Money is happiness.
Happiness? Happy, okay. Okay, what else is money?
Luxury.
Luxury,
Life.
what else?
I know, rich, big house, big car, whatever.
Cars, luxury.
Luxury.
Yeah.
So usually
Materials.
whenever we run this exercise with the students, always you will have some extreme answers, like death, life, happiness. Some other people might say some other things, you know, misery, greed, you know. Usually when we talk about people who have money, what is the feeling that you have about these people?
Greed.
Greed. Okay? Okay? So you will realize that there are two extremes whenever somebody talks about money. One is that all negative characteristics, and another one is all positive and the best. Okay? And in Islam, in fact, when you think about money, that's why we call wealth fitna, which means like a trial.
Yes.
It takes you left or right. Depends what's inside of you. As I like Sheikh Muhammad Sharif, he says this is something that magnifies what's in your heart. You know, and that is reality of it. So it brings out the best or in worst in you. It is like an amplifier. It's like any other tool. You have a computer, you are a smart person, you run a business, it will help you to run it. And using the technology, using the right management tools and so on, this will help you. If you are a person who is not right, then this will amplify that negative side. Okay? Now, why should person learn about Islamic finance?
Well, it's important for Muslims to know how to, you know, deal with money, manage money, you know, so that's one of the reasons, I would say.
Sure. So for Muslims, it's really
Yeah.
very important as a part of their religion
Yeah.
and part of so many other rules and muamalat in general. In fact, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said time will come when one will not care how they make money, whether it's legal or illegal. And this is like a warning, like a threat for the people. Not only do they not know, but they don't care to know. They don't want to know. You know, there could be a person genuinely don't understand, but he's trying. But we have a situation where a person could learn, there are some avenues, but he's not trying.
Yes.
Now today, we have to ask ourselves, do we fall under the description of the people who don't care how we make money? Is it legal or illegal? And not just how we make, but how we spend it. Do we come under this threat? Do we follow what is permissible, halal, and to the best of our abilities? Okay? So some of the scholars, as I was listening one of the class recorded by Sheikh Jamal Zarabozo, he was discussing a question by a student, and they asked, is this knowledge fard? Like must for us today? And the Sheikh answered it that today, do we get involved in financial transactions? Like, do you get involved in finance?
Yes, you do.
What sort of transactions you get involved normally?
Buying.
For a student, when your money is being sent through the bank, you're going to fetch it. You want to save, leaving money in your bank. As a student, you would want to get married, saving your money. You know, as a student, you want to know if you can use buying items on the internet. You know, purchasing items and using your card. Can you have a credit card? Can you have a transaction card? So basically, we are fully involved in transactions.
Anybody else? Any other transactions? So obviously, lots of buying, selling. Anything else?
Many other students might be taking loans for their studies and things of such nature. You know, where finance or something might be involved. You know.
You have anything to add to this?
No.
So there is lots of these transactions. Now, do we know before we engage in these transactions if this is okay or not? That's a big question. Do we know? And if we don't know, who do we ask? Is there someone we can refer?
Honestly speaking, most of the time we do it just because we need to get it done.
So that means we go under the first. So we have that gut feeling, oh, I hope it's fine, but we are not sure. So we are playing kind of on the edge.
On the edge.
Okay? And this is something that is very dangerous. Okay? Now, how about more complex transactions? You are running a business. Or you want to start a business. You want to start somebody to give you maybe $1 million to start your own company. You know, you are studying now, maybe engineering or medicine or psychology or whatever it is that you are studying, and then you want to run your own business. You want to really help people. You have some idea that are great. Okay? You want to get somebody to invest money with you. Do you know how to draw a contract? What are the issues?
No.
How are you going to do these sorts of things? Because when we talk about this, you have to understand something very important. Currently, if you look at the Muslim statistics in the world, youth, your generation, between 15 and 29 years old, out of 1.4 billion total people in this category, youth, 15 to 29, okay? You know how many Muslims are in that category? Give a guess. Have a guess.
17.
Huh? So we have category of the people between 15 years to 29 years. And I'm saying in the world, there is 1.4 billion of youth, young people, studying, working, hungry to work, dreaming, hoping, looking at around themselves for some ideas. You know, these are the guys who will invent whatever is the next iPhone, Facebook, whatever is the next stuff. Apple. These are the guys. It's going to come from these people. Out of this 1.4 billion, how many of them are Muslims?
1 billion.
How much?
About
Give me a number.
1 billion.
300
1 million?
300 million?
300 million. How about if I tell you it's 500 millions? 500 millions of Muslim youth. By the way, there is 600 or 700 million below 15, but that's another topic and another show. Okay, think about this number of people. What they're going to do? How they're going to do it? Where they live mainly? They live in a country and economy that is saturated with jobs. It is mainly consumer kind of society, where entrepreneurship, where manufacturing, where all of these businesses are not easily, they are not structured to accommodate for this 500 million of people. Okay? And they are usually done in a way that is old-fashioned and so on. So now societies are rethinking their strategy. How do I engage these youth, talents? You see, there is, let's say in these 500 million, there is maybe thousands of people here, thousands of people who, given right circumstances and all of these things, will create something that will employ 80% of these people. As we know. I was just listening this morning a lecture when Umar sent some soldiers to Amr ibn As, and he says one of these is like 1,000 people. One of these is like 1,000 people. He sent 4, and he says they are equivalent to 4,000. This is like people like, in fact, like a money, you know. Some money is worth a few dollars. Other money worth millions. So this is how the people are. So unless these people know, unless this youth know how to position themselves, how to work, how to create this, and how to use this talent, and connect these opportunities, what this youth is going to do? How they're going to be absorbed in economies where most of the GDP is something that is as basic as, for example, oil industry or gas. Or you can't absorb this youth. You have to develop new sectors. You understand? Yes. So this is where these topics become more interesting. Okay? Now, another important aspect is that you as a Muslim, specifically as a man, as we see from this statement where Muhammad Shaybani said, who was a famous student of Abu Hanifa, he said, according to majority of the fuqaha of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, is that working up to your level of need, where you can support yourself, and those that you are financially responsible, is a must. Understand what that means?
Yes.
You have to work, especially as a man. Woman has a choice, but you don't have a choice. You must work to provide basic necessity in life. Now, what is this telling us? It is telling us that up to the level where you have to work and provide and engage in the finance, you also have to know this fiqh of finance, because it is going to affect you directly. Now, some people might say, okay, well, you know, I don't need to really work that much, you know. What is the opposite of working?
Relaxing.
Relaxing, exactly. You don't worry about it, you know, I'll maybe work another day. So we see in Quran and so many narrations that Quran, for example, tell us that we should spend from the good things that we earn. How do you going to spend these things if you are not working? What is the alternative? So we see so many narrations where the Prophet ﷺ warned us against asking people for something while we can
earn it ourselves.
And he told people, don't ask. Don't be the lower hand. In fact, he said that if you are asking this, meaning begging, that's what we translate as begging. Not just somebody, beggar is not somebody who is in some catastrophe or something happens to him and then he has to ask. But somebody who is young, full of energy, can do something about his own situation, and he chooses to relax. He's working and living with his parents. They're gonna take care of it, and then, you know, or some other system, social security or whatever. He's relaxing. Okay. So Prophet ﷺ told us a couple of very important points about what will be the treatment of the person who does not utilize this skill. And inshallah, after the break, I'm going to tell you what these statements are. Thank you.
This is our duty. This is something that we need to do. With whatever language that we know, we need to understand the Quran. We need to get to know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, so that we will be steadfast on the deen of Islam. That's why the forgiveness is mentioned in so many verses in the Quran, in so many different ways and means, by the mercy of Allah, that the person would gain such a great level, and that is to be forgiven. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him speak clearly, miraculously in front of everyone, to defend the honor and the dignity of Maryam, the mother of Jesus, the best of all women. And the truth is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one worthy of worship, and He's the creator of the heavens and earth.
Welcome back. We are discussing about issue of money and some of the Islamic principles surrounding this topic. So just before our break, we were discussing about a couple of these points, and we are actually talking about situation where, as we know, Muslim is supposed to earn and work and be active, and he should not put himself in a situation where he depends on other people. And we said the Prophet ﷺ gave very hard warning to these people. He told us that if you are from these people who beg, what's going to happen to you in the day of judgment? You're going to get some spots on your face. And in fact, you'll come in the day of judgment eventually without your face, without your skin on the face. Now, this is very interesting. Like, when you think about it, what do you think that symbolizes? The face, not having a face on the day of judgment.
Not humility, you know.
Humiliation.
Disgrace.
Yeah,
Disgrace.
Pride.
Yeah, because usually face is connected with honor. Dignity. So by asking from other people, you are losing part of your honor and your dignity. Yes. Is this what Islam wants from us?
No.
Absolutely no.
Absolutely not. So Islam wants from us to be upper hand, not the lower hand. So this is what we are going to discuss in some of the aspects regarding the mentality Muslims should have with respect to being active in life. Okay, so we said we all have to provide, we have to work, and this is what Muslims are supposed to do. So Sharia puts certain rules on these transactions. Now, we as Muslims, we believe in this, we understand it, and we seek to understand more and more. However, when I talk with the Muslims, you know, especially those who are involved in dawah, they usually come a time when they say, you see, as a Muslim, I can explain pretty much everything in this deen to non-Muslims. And there is a logic. You know, for example, if I talk about halal food, I can explain the way we handle meat, why this, why the healthy, you know, all of the thing. I can explain pretty much everything. But when it comes to this finance, I have no idea where to start, where to end. Doesn't make any sense. Now, this is very interesting, because if you look at some statistics, even done by non-Muslims, they find that most of the concern now in the world, amongst the youth especially, comes not around traditional topics like environment, things like that, or wars. In fact, youth today is not passionate about almost anything in their life. You know what they are passionate and what they are worried about? They find out that half or 50% is worried about finance. They live through the global financial crisis. They see their parents or loved ones losing the job, uncertainty it creates. So they want to give up study, career, everything, and go work to support those around them. So this creates certain anxiety, stress, this finance. So when you see people, for instance, around the world, non-Muslim, like Occupy Wall Street, they're on the streets. Like we have Arab Springs, people on the street.
Yeah.
Then we have people on the other parts of the world occupying New York, London, all of these exchanges. What they are saying, are they calling for Islam or something? They are just crying. They are saying, we don't know what's going on. The system we have, specifically financial, we don't want it. It's failed us. But we don't know what we exactly want. And that was one of the criticism of these movements, is that they're telling us what they don't want, what they don't like, but there is no voice to say how alternative system could be run. Because today, if you go from capitalism to socialism, all of these things, they're failing, and people understand that. So when you go around and you see that there is universal demand for fair and just system that is socially responsible. So everyone wants this, okay? And what they want is to go from this inhumane system to something that is more ethical and better alternative to the way they handle their money and the finance. So when we go normally see and talk to these people, there are certain points which we are trying then to highlight. And if you come from certain areas in the world, like I live currently in Australia, you will know, for instance, Arab traders who came in 12th century to Indonesia as a traders, when they were interacting with the local population, they told them that, you know what, we have some rules how we manage our business and finances. And these locals were so impressed that they started learning the rest of Islam, because Islam comes as a whole package. You can't just pick one and, it kind of works as a parts of the system. So you cannot, like in a normal body, you cannot just separate the heart and put it aside, and brain, and then your body, and hook it up all on the machine, which send you, there is some life form there. But it works best when, as it is intended to be together. So then those full benefits are realized for everybody. So these people, in a matter of a couple of centuries, entire Indonesia become Muslims because of these impressive rules that they had for running the business. So now that is 250 million Muslims living in Indonesia. In fact, as they started, these Muslims pick it up, trading, they reached even Australia 200 years before Captain Cook, but that's another story. But it was the same idea. They described these Muslim traders who came from Sulawesi and started trading with Aboriginals and marrying them and converting to Islam and so on. When these Aboriginals describe this contact, they describe it as the best encounter between these two civilizations. And that's not the same description they tell about Captain Cook and what's happened later. So we see and we are proud of this history. So now when we have this cry of the world, in fact, some of them were quoted as carrying the sign, and they say, we want Islamic banking in this movement. We then need to be able to respond to show that this crisis, there are so small rules and the principles, if only these principles were implemented, you would stop or minimize the effect of these huge crises. I just give you one example. One of these things, when they, in conventional finance that they do, is a method what they call short selling. Okay. Now, what short selling basically does is gives you profit when asset is losing value. Okay, does that make sense? How can you make money from something where asset is losing value? Is it logical? How can we gain?
It's not logical.
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
No.
So let's say this remote control is $10. Okay? If I owe this stuff, how can I make money?
By selling it.
By selling, and hopefully at a higher price than what I bought it for. Yes. So if I bought this for a 10, I can only make money if somebody buys it for 11, 12, and so on.
Yes.
Now, is it logical that I buy this for 10, sell it at 7, and make $3?
No, it's not.
It's unlogical.
It is not logical.
It's not logical.
However, you can do that in normal finance.
How?
Okay, how? Let's see example. All right. I will be party A. Let's say you are B and you are C.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you are, let's say, representing what we call a bank or some sort of hedge fund or whatever is the name. Okay. Let's say this is some sort of shares of the company. Okay. Let's make it like it's a company that deals in mining.
Okay.
So it's not a bad company. It's a reasonable company. They dig stuff, iron ore, they sell it. We make cars from the iron. So it's something that is useful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, kind of Sharia compliant business.
Yes.
Now, we can't say until we see financial whether these shares are fully Sharia compliant, but let's say that financials are fine and there's no issues that we are concerned with. So this seemingly legitimate company where I have some ownership, this person wants to profit from price going down. Okay. So what they normally do is that they would lease these shares. So you would say, okay, this is $10. Let's put it $100. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is $100, and I will lease this. You wanna lease it maybe for about 7 days. Okay. You take this, I give you, and you're gonna pay me, let's say, $2. Okay. So it's I give you the asset which is worth $100, and we have a lease arrangement. You pay me $2 for 7 days. Okay?
Okay.
Now, what's your thinking about this? You can do something or influence or hope that price will fall down. Okay? This is your thinking. You are, let's say, betting on this. Because that's what they do. They bet on the price movement. They don't care what you are really doing. They just bet on the price movement up and down. So you have that asset now, which you borrow for $100. You're only paying $2 for it. Okay? You are hoping prices will go down. Now, what you do with that asset, how much it is currently on the market? It's $100 on the market.
$100.
You sell that asset to him. Okay? So you sell it to him. Okay? All right?
Yes.
Now, how much money you have with you
Yes, 100.
from this? So you get $100. Okay? You paid,
$2.
okay? And what you owe me?
$100.
What do you owe me? What I gave you?
The product for
you gave him the
$100.
product for $100.
Okay, so I gave you product which was $100.
Yes.
Now, what do you owe me? Product or $100?
$100. Because you leased it. You owe him the product. He owes you the product.
Do I owe you $100 or a product?
$2.
The products.
What did I give you?
The product.
I gave you product.
So
Yes.
you
What do you have to return to me?
the product.
Money.
Product.
Yeah.
How much is that product?
$100.
$100.
Yeah, that time. But between us, doesn't matter what's the product. You have to return me
The
the
product.
product. Doesn't matter what's the price. So now, due to certain speculative activities over the course of the 7 days, speculation and maybe who knows who create these speculations. Okay, what's happened with this product? It goes down to 50. Okay,
Okay.
so this product go now, it's traded on 50. Okay, now what you do now? You have to return me the product. What do you do now?
He basically has to buy it back.
You buy it back. Okay, buy it back and pay him his money.
50.
So you buy and pay him 50. Okay,
Okay.
all right. So you paid him 50. Okay, how much you so far invested in this?
100.
50.
You invested
$2.
No. You paid $2 to lease it.
Yes.
Yes.
You got $100 from selling it,
from selling it.
and then you had to
Paid $50.
buy it back for this. So what is the end? How much now in your pocket?
$48.
$48.
$48. Okay. So we have $48 now in your pocket.
Yes.
Plus the product itself.
That's the product.
Yeah.
Okay? Now you give me back my product which I gave you.
Yes.
All right? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Done. What happened? What happened? How much you end up with profit?
48.
48.
You end up with 48.
Yeah.
How much you invested in all this?
$2.
$2. How many hundreds of percent over the normal is this? You profited $48
So it's like a
from product failing in price. Think about that. And think about it. So when we come next episode, inshallah, we're going to discuss how is this short selling important and how and why businesses and government prohibited it after the financial crisis, but it's still now available. Thank you very much. Join us for the next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.